And then another question that's popped up a couple of times and I've forgotten to ask in
Mhm.
Q&A. Um, I think that there was something about this in like the anxiety class. I can't remember what the class is called, but is there a single oil or a blend that is like a good first responder kind of like shoot from the hip thing to carry when you start noticing like a thematic trend of like a particular lower emotion? So like say for anger, or for like if the person keeps going into like judgment and anger stuff, like
Is it usually anger or anxiety?
uh
Melissa.
Melissa.
Yeah. Like, especially the anger thing, Melissa will calm down the anger, but like if somebody's really in the middle of an angry bout, even a little bit of anxiety or whatever, Melissa is pretty hard to replace. You
Okay.
know, I don't talk about Melissa all the time just because of like the price. It's a little bit more pricey than other oils and everything. And so I just don't want to be the guy that's only talking about precious oils.
Right.
But chamomiles and like yarrow and things can be very good for anger. But when there's like really like the person gets angry often or gets like kind of stuck in the anger or the anxiety and has a hard time pulling out of it, even just anxiety, Melissa can be very good. It does need to be internal. It does need to be like 2-3 drops internally.
Okay. And if the economy is an issue, like what would be your lower grade
Lower
go to
grade,
after Melissa?
for like anger thing, probably like going into like Roman chamomile or milfoil, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
And the thing that you could also do is like if they want to check it to see, is instead of doing a 5 ml bottle, get a 2 ml bottle, see if the 2 ml bottle works for you, and then if it does, then you can always bump up to the 5 ml. But we just had somebody this last weekend that wasn't for that. It was like for palpitations. Like she had really strong palpitations in the heart, and I gave her a little bit of Melissa just to see like on her skin, and she'd held, and she was like, no, it didn't really do anything. And then I gave her 3 or 4 drops internally, and she said it stopped almost immediately. Like, it slowed everything down. And so, inhaling it's good, but in these particular cases, like it usually needs to be internal. And uh done over a period of time, sometimes it soothes certain things that prevents the anger from always popping up.
mm,
You know what I mean? It's not just like, oh, when you get angry, let's do this. It's like if you do it over a period of time, all of a sudden you're like, oh, that normally would have made me angry, and it kind of doesn't.
right.
Or like I feel the anger, but I don't go, you know, don't get upset and act on it and things.
Right. And is that closely or directly related to like reactivity and like the tendency to go into the
Yeah,
judgment?
reactivity, and it's calming and soothing certain things in the endocrine system, but more importantly, it's calming and soothing something in the nervous system, and it just makes you like less reactive. It just makes things not as it's not the crisis that like your mind thinks it is,
Uh-huh.
or that your body thinks it is. Because sometimes it's just the body has gotten like super agitated from a bunch of previous things. And so you give it like 5 units of, stimuli that will cause anger. But it's like, yeah, but I've got 100 stored up. So it's 105.
Right.
It calms all that stuff down. I mean, I use Melissa a lot just because it's also super calming to the nerves. It makes you just it just makes life like really mellow and chill. And it's very fortifying to the heart chakra, the heart center. And so it's like it makes the heart kind of tough, where it's like, okay, something bad happened, but it's not the end of the world, where before it's like, something bad happened, I'm gonna have to shake this off. Where now it's just like, is what it is.
Right.
Sometimes the anger is out of fatigue as well.
Mm.
Like the body is run down and doesn't have the energy to either process or doesn't have the energy to deal with the difficulty or the obstacle. And so that can be the anger. And the Melissa helps that as well.
Brilliant. Yeah, I think that's definitely part of it.
Yeah, Melissa is very fortifying. Like you would use it to treat certain types of like depressive states, like melancholy, not like super deep-seated depression, but just like kind of depressive states before they get too bad can be treated with Melissa.
Okay. Yeah, the pattern is kind of like slipping into judgment quickly, easily, and then the anger starts to just spill.
Slipping into judgment is usually either trying to prevent like pain or can be a little bit of the situation might not make the person feel very good about themselves. And so again, Melissa kind of remedies those things as well.
Both. Brilliant.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much. Oh, I was going to ask, so they